What if I told you that getting just 1% better every day could transform your entire life? That's the core promise of James Clear's groundbreaking book, Atomic Habits, an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. In the next 30 minutes, we're going to explore how tiny changes can lead to remarkable results. We'll discover why most people fail at building good habits, and more importantly, how you can succeed. Whether you want to get fit, build a business, improve your relationships, or simply become a better version of yourself, the strategies in this book will show you the way. James Clear didn't just write about habits from theory. His journey began with a life-changing accident. In high school, a baseball bat struck him in the face, causing severe injuries that nearly ended his athletic career. During his long recovery, Clear discovered something powerful. Small improvements, consistently applied, created extraordinary results. He went from a devastating injury to becoming an academic All-American athlete in college. So let's dive in and discover the surprising power of atomic habits.
Let me start with a mathematical fact that will change how you think about self-improvement. If you get 1% better each day for 1 year, you'll end up 37 times better by the time you're done. That's not a typo. 37 times better. Conversely, if you get 1% worse each day, you'll decline nearly to zero. This is the power of compounding. We all understand compound interest with money, but we rarely apply this concept to our daily behaviors. Your habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Here's the challenge, though. Small changes often appear to make no difference until you cross a critical threshold. Clear calls this the plateau of latent potential. Imagine an ice cube sitting on a table. The room temperature is 25 degrees. You slowly heat the room. 26 degrees. Nothing happens. 27 degrees. Still nothing. 29, 30, 31 degrees. The ice cube is still frozen solid. Then, 32 degrees, the ice begins to melt. That 1 degree made all the difference. But it wasn't just that 1 degree. It was the accumulation of all the work that came before. This is why so many people give up. They're working hard, making changes, but see no results. They're stuck in what Clear calls the valley of disappointment. But here's the truth. You weren't failing. You were just building up the potential that would be unleashed at the breakthrough point. Bamboo can barely be seen for the first 5 years as it builds extensive root systems underground. Then, in just 6 weeks, it grows 90 feet tall. The work wasn't wasted. It was just being stored. Now, let's talk about goals versus systems. Most people think they need better goals. Clear argues they need better systems. Winners and losers have the same goals. Every Olympian wants to win gold. Every business owner wants to succeed. The difference isn't the goal, it's the system. Goals are about the results you want. Systems are about the processes that lead to those results. Here's why focusing on systems is superior. First, goals are temporary. Once you achieve them, you stop. Systems are permanent. They keep you improving forever. Second, goals restrict your happiness. You're either successful or you're not. Systems let you enjoy the journey. And third, goals create a yo-yo effect. Win a championship? Stop training and lose your fitness. The purpose of setting goals is to win the game. The purpose of building systems is to continue playing the game. Long-term thinking is goalless thinking. It's about the cycle of endless refinement.
Now we come to what might be the most important insight in the entire book. The secret to building lasting habits is focusing on your identity, not your outcomes. There are 3 layers of behavior change. Imagine them like the layers of an onion. The outer layer is outcomes: losing weight, publishing a book, winning a championship. The middle layer is processes: implementing a new routine at the gym, developing a writing practice. The deepest layer is identity: your beliefs, your self-image, your worldview. Most people start from the outside. They focus on what they want to achieve. But lasting change works from the inside out. You need to start with who you wish to become. Behind every system of actions is a system of beliefs. You might want more money, but if your identity is that of someone who consumes rather than creates, you'll continue finding ways to spend. You might want better health, but if you identify as someone who's not athletic, you'll struggle to stick with exercise. True behavior change is identity change. You might start a habit because of motivation, but you'll stick with it because it becomes part of who you are. Anyone can convince themselves to go to the gym once or twice, but if you don't shift the belief behind the behavior, it's hard to stick with long-term changes. The good news, your identity isn't set in stone. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to completely transform overnight. You just need to win the majority of votes. Here's how to change your identity. First, decide the type of person you want to be. Second, prove it to yourself with small wins. Want to be a writer? Write 1 paragraph. Want to be an athlete? Exercise for 1 minute. Want to be a reader? Read 1 page. Each small win shifts your internal narrative. The most practical way to change who you are is to change what you do. As you accumulate evidence, your self-image begins to shift. Eventually, you simply become that person.
Clear's entire system can be distilled into 4 laws of behavior change. These laws apply to every habit, good or bad. Master these, and you master the art of habit formation. Every habit goes through 4 stages: the cue, the craving, the response, and the reward. The cue triggers your brain to initiate a behavior. The craving is the motivational force, the desire to change something. The response is the actual habit you perform. And the reward is the end goal. It satisfies the craving and teaches you which actions are worth remembering. If any of these 4 stages is missing, a behavior will not become a habit. Without a cue, you never start. Without craving, you lack motivation. Without the ability to respond, you can't do it. And without a reward, there's no reason to repeat it. Clear's framework gives you a handle on each stage. To create a good habit, make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, make it satisfying. To break a bad habit, make it invisible, make it unattractive, make it difficult, make it unsatisfying. Let's explore each of these laws in detail, starting with the first law: make it obvious.
Before you can change a habit, you need to be aware of it. Many of our habits are so ingrained that we perform them automatically. We're on autopilot. Clear introduces a simple but powerful exercise called the Habits Scorecard. Take out a piece of paper and write down everything you do in a typical day. Then label each habit positive, negative, or neutral. Be honest. No judgment, just awareness. This exercise reveals patterns you didn't know existed. You can't change what you're not aware of. Once you're aware of your habits, the next step is implementation intentions. This is a fancy term for a simple idea. Decide in advance when and where you'll act. The formula is: I will do behavior at time in location. For example, I will meditate for 1 minute at 7 a.m. in my kitchen. Or I will exercise for 1 hour at 5 p.m. in my local gym. Studies show that people who use implementation intentions are 2 to 3 times more likely to follow through. Why? Because you've removed the need to make a decision in the moment. The decision is already made. Even more powerful is habit stacking. This means linking a new habit to an existing one. The formula, after I do current habit, I will do new habit. After I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. After I take off my work shoes, I will immediately put on my workout clothes. After I sit down for dinner, I will say one thing I'm grateful for. Your current habits are already wired into your brain. Use them as anchors for new behaviors. Now here's something most people miss. Your environment matters more than motivation. Motivation is what gets you started, but environment is what makes it stick. Every habit is initiated by a cue, and we're more likely to notice cues that stand out. If you want to drink more water, fill up bottles each morning and place them in obvious locations. If you want to practice guitar, don't hide it in a closet. Put it in the middle of your living room. If you want to read more, place books on your pillow. Make the cues of good habits obvious. And here's the flip side. Make the cues of bad habits invisible. If you watch too much television, unplug it after each use. If you spend too much money online, delete your saved payment information. If you waste time on your phone, keep it in another room until lunch. Remember, people with high self-control tend to spend less time in tempting situations. It's easier to avoid temptation than resist it. Don't rely on willpower. Design your environment for success.
The more attractive a habit is, the more likely you are to perform it. This is where understanding dopamine becomes crucial. Here's what most people don't know. Dopamine is released not only when you experience pleasure, but when you anticipate it. Scientists can measure exactly when dopamine spikes, and it happens before the reward, not after. Your brain has far more neural circuitry for wanting rewards than for liking them. This is why slot machine addicts keep pulling the lever even when they're losing money. It's the anticipation that hooks them. We can use this to our advantage. Clear introduces a strategy called temptation bundling. The idea is simple. Pair an action you want to do with an action you need to do. The formula, after I do, habit I need to do, I will do, habit I want to do. For example, only listen to your favorite podcast while exercising. Only watch your favorite show while ironing. Only get a massage after completing a week of meditation. You're linking something difficult with something enjoyable, making the difficult behavior more attractive. But there's another force that shapes our habits even more powerfully: other people. We're social creatures. We imitate the habits of 3 groups: the close, the many, and the powerful. We imitate the close, our family and friends. We imitate the many, our tribe and community. And we imitate the powerful, those with status and prestige. One of the most effective things you can do is join a culture where your desired behavior is the normal behavior. If you want to read more, join a book club. If you want to get fit, join a gym where everyone takes fitness seriously. If you want to build a business, surround yourself with entrepreneurs. When your desired behavior is normal in your culture, it becomes attractive. When it's abnormal, it's unattractive. We'd rather be wrong with the crowd than right by ourselves.
Now we come to the third law, and this is where most people get stuck. They spend too much time in motion and not enough time in action. Motion is planning, strategizing, researching. Action is actually doing the thing. Motion makes you feel productive, but it doesn't produce results. Reading about fitness won't make you fit. Researching diets won't make you lose weight. You have to take action. Here's a truth that might surprise you. The amount of time you've been performing a habit is less important than the number of times you've performed it. What matters is the frequency, not the duration. You don't need more time, you need more repetitions. Habits form based on frequency, not time. The more you repeat a behavior, the more automatic it becomes. This brings us to a crucial principle, the law of least effort. Humans naturally gravitate toward the option that requires the least amount of work. Energy is precious, and we want to conserve it. So make your good habits as easy as possible. Reduce the friction. Want to exercise in the morning? Sleep in your workout clothes. Want to eat healthy? Meal prep on Sundays, so good food is ready to grab. Want to practice guitar? Leave it on a stand in your living room, not in a case in the closet. Prime your environment to make future actions easier. Every added bit of friction makes a habit harder to do. Every removed bit of friction makes it easier. Now here's one of Clear's most famous strategies, the 2-minute rule. When you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. Read 30 pages before bed becomes read 1 page. Do 30 minutes of yoga becomes take out my yoga mat. Study for class becomes open my notes. The point isn't to do just 2 minutes. The point is to master the habit of showing up. A habit must be established before it can be improved. You can't improve a habit that doesn't exist. The 2-minute rule makes habits easy to start, and that's the key. Once you've started, it's much easier to continue. The initial 2 minutes become a ritual that pulls you into a more productive pattern. But what if you still procrastinate? Clear has one more trick: commitment devices. These are choices you make in the present that lock in better behavior in the future. Ask a friend to hold your credit card so you can't impulse shop. Use website blockers to limit social media time. Leave your phone at home when you go for a walk. Buy food in individual packages instead of bulk to control portions. The best way to break a bad habit is to make it impossible to do, or at least extremely inconvenient.
We've arrived at the fourth and final law. Make it satisfying. This might be the most important one for making habits stick long-term. Here's the cardinal rule of behavior change. What is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided. This creates a problem. Good habits often have delayed rewards. You go to the gym today, but you won't see results for months. You study hard, but the test is weeks away. You save money, but retirement is decades in the future. With bad habits, it's the opposite. The immediate outcome feels good, but the ultimate outcome is terrible. Eating junk food tastes great now, but leads to poor health later. Smoking feels relaxing now, but causes cancer eventually. The solution? Add some immediate pleasure to habits that pay off in the long run, and add some immediate pain to habits that don't. One powerful way to do this is habit tracking. Get a calendar and mark an X each day you stick to your habit. Don't break the chain. Habit tracking is satisfying because you can see your progress. It's visual proof that you're showing up. Plus, tracking creates its own motivation. The streak becomes something you want to protect. Missing one day feels like breaking a commitment to yourself. But here's the most important rule about habit tracking. Never miss twice. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the start of a new habit. Life will interrupt. You'll get sick, travel, have emergencies. That's fine. You're not aiming for perfection. You're aiming for consistency. When you miss a day, get back on track as quickly as possible. The first mistake is never the one that ruins you. It's the spiral of repeated mistakes that follows.
For extra accountability, you can create a habit contract. This is a written agreement stating your commitment to a particular habit and the punishment if you fail. Sign it with 1 or 2 accountability partners. Knowing someone is watching is a powerful motivator. If you don't work out as planned, maybe you owe your friend $20. If you don't finish your project, maybe you have to do their chores for a week. Make the cost of breaking your promise public and painful. We care deeply about what others think of us. Use that to your advantage.
Before we wrap up, let's cover some advanced tactics that can take you from good to great. First, the Goldilocks rule. Humans experience peak motivation when working on tasks that are right on the edge of their current abilities. Not too hard, not too easy, just right. If a task is too easy, you get bored. Too hard, you get frustrated. But right at the edge, that's where you enter flow state. That's where growth happens. Keep your habits challenging enough to be engaging, but not so difficult that you fail. Second, understand that the greatest threat to success isn't failure, it's boredom. As habits become routine, they become less interesting. This is where most people quit. The difference between professionals and amateurs? Professionals stick to the schedule even when they're not motivated. Amateurs let life get in the way. Anyone can work hard when they feel motivated. Success is about showing up when you don't feel like it. You have to fall in love with boredom. Mastery requires practice, lots of it, and practice becomes repetitive. The greatest performers in any field are those who can handle the boredom of training when the excitement wears off. Third, don't let your identity become too rigid. The tighter you cling to an identity, the harder it becomes to grow beyond it. Keep your identity small. Be flexible. Be willing to update your beliefs as you learn and grow. And finally, establish systems for reflection and review. Set aside time for an annual review. Ask yourself, what went well this year? What didn't go well? What did I learn? Am I living according to my values? Regular reflection ensures you're improving, not just repeating the same mistakes with greater intensity.
Let's bring this all together. Atomic habits are tiny changes that lead to remarkable results. They're small, they're easy to overlook, but they compound into something extraordinary over time. The 4 laws give you a framework. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, make it satisfying. Apply these to build good habits. Invert them to break bad ones. But remember the deeper truth. Habits aren't just about achieving outcomes. They're about becoming someone. Every action is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Win enough votes, and you become that person. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Stop worrying about outcomes. Focus on building better systems, and the outcomes will take care of themselves. Small habits don't add up. They compound, and that compound growth is where transformation happens. 1% better every day isn't dramatic. It won't make headlines, but over time, it changes everything. So here's your challenge. Pick one tiny habit, just one. Apply the 4 laws. Make it obvious. Decide when and where you'll do it. Make it attractive. Pair it with something you enjoy. Make it easy. Reduce it to 2 minutes. Make it satisfying. Track your progress. Start small. Be consistent. Trust the process. Your atomic habits will compound into the life you've always wanted. Thank you for listening, Quick Reads. Now subscribe the channel and go build your atomic habits.